Would you use it as second use, or would you allow North Korea or some idiot in Iran to bomb us and then say, oh, we better start talking?
Throughout the 80s and the 90s, you spoke at scores of hard-line Republican gatherings which backed the IRA and the arms struggle.
We should be clear about who they are. They are a terrorist group who believe in killing Jews. And that's why, whatever the Right Honourable Gentleman says about combating anti-Semitism in the Labour Party will mean nothing until he withdraws the remark that they were his friends. He needs to do it, and he should do it today.
The choice of the election is clear. Strong and stable leadership in the national interest, or a hung-parliament and coalition of chaos under Jeremy Corbyn. I have to confess, me and my friends sort of used to run through fields of wheat. The farmers weren't too pleased about that. I have just been to see Her Majesty the Queen, and I will now form a government. A government that can provide certainty and lead Britain forward at this critical time for our country.
What a fucking shambles it has been.
It's whatever.
It's whatever. You being Buddhist about the whole thing?
Oh, that's just whatever, mate. You know,
bit of a nihilist outlook on it.
You know, I don't know the country that much anyway. You know, what's the matter to me?
I didn't want sort of basic human rights anyways.
I wanted to die anyway. So
yeah, jokes on them.
Exactly, mate.
Speaking of dying at the hands of the Conservative government, how familiar are you with the whole Grenfell meme?
Well, it's hard not to be because it was a ginormous tower that went up in a complete inferno.
Yeah, but there's certain things that you'll learn about it as you delve into it that are really quite horrifying. Are you aware that the council were notified in advance by the occupants many times?
There was a protest that was formed. There was an open letter that was sent to them, signed by the residents.
There were like builders that sort of knew the trade, living in it, and were like, yeah, no, this stuff's flammable.
There were pictures as well of like fire hazards of like materials left around by the council, and they requested they be tied up and moved and stuff. Was it the type of insulation in the walls was highly flammable as well?
Alongside the cladding on the
exterior.
Yeah,
the cladding on the exterior, and they since found that like almost all of the tower blocks that they've investigated from then on also have this highly flammable cladding as well.
And also, what I found out recently is Grenfell Tower was actually predicted to happen in a 1984 documentary surrounding the issue. So back in 1984, there was an expert talking, saying that these new buildings are going up, and they've got a flammable insulation, like they're an accident waiting to happen. And he actually says it in the documentary. They've got loads of views now, and people have highlighted it, but it was pretty much a foregone conclusion for anyone that knew the first thing about construction that these things were basically fucking Catherine wheels, and Conservative government didn't do fucking anything about it because it's quite expensive to not let people die.
And the whole that's the thing, they did like £11 million worth of renovation, didn't they? But it was all like purely cosmetic. And this was at the same time that like a lot of expensive flats were built not so far away. So you think
I think it was Jonathan Pye that made the point that they were just sort of glossing over poverty. They make them look pretty, so the rich people, when they look out of their windows, they see these high rises. They're not as much of an eyesore. But when it comes to the alleged human detritum that reside within them, it doesn't matter if they burn at all, does it? I think Grenfell as a whole has been a really good analogy for sort of austerity as a whole, as a wider issue.
It's mental,
and particularly when you know a statistic that my lecturer told me recently. Do you know the mortality rate for buildings that have sprinkler systems?
I don't know.
0%.
Okay.
If there's a sprinkler system in a building, no one fucking dies. That's all it takes.
Didn't the sprinkler system fail in Grenfell?
It didn't have one.
They didn't have one at all.
I'm pretty sure it didn't have one at all.
Wow.
And even if it did, if it failed, that's still a failing of funding, because that means they wouldn't have had the means to replace it or test it. But yeah, that's pretty. That's pretty shit. And did you see Theresa May going there to try and console the victims?
By not saying any of the victims.
Yeah, that was it. And then quickly speeding off in a fucking Land Rover.
Yeah, she met with the
New
police
4x4.
and that was it, wasn't it?
Well, when the people were going absolutely apoplectic, they were going ballistic at her. I've never seen the British people so animated. But yeah, people were proper having digs at her, shouting at her, trying to get to her,
And the Queen, it was like, oh, I had to leave because of security concerns, and then the Queen turns up and meets the victims instead. Like, I mean, if there's security concerns, but a person that's far more high profile than you turns up and does your job.
I don't know what the Queen's doing there. Like, she fucking kick the doors and go, living with an arm means, are we? Like, she's historically not too keen on those sorts of people.
Well, I don't know that. I don't know if that's true. I think she's a lovely old lady at heart, probably. You know, I don't think she has any animosity towards the poor. Just because she's rich.
I
don't
know.
think that means she hates poor people.
I agree. She can sit there in a $1 million hat and just sit there, and that's all right. It's when she sits in a golden chair, encrusted with jewels and says to fucking people living on Benefit Street, living below the poverty line, working several jobs, that they've got to live within their means.
That's why she was best suited to visiting the victims, because most of them are on benefits as well. She can confide in them. See, I know what it's like.
Yeah, they've got that in common.
Yeah.
She has to sign on for the dough as well. She just gets loads more.
She just gets a lot more.
Yeah, fucking Britain's biggest benefit scrounger.
I don't really know how I feel about the royal family, because
I'm definitely against them. It's just immoral.
I think I have to be against them, really, don't I? Because of the outlook. But I don't feel any actual disdain. I feel disdain towards most sort of politicians I disagree with. But the royal family, I think they're all just quite.
You think
quite nice.
You say you think you have to. What makes you think you have to not like them?
Well, but just because of my ethics and things like that, you know, the whole.
That doesn't mean you have to believe certain things. You know my ethics, and then I'm like really
you're
conservative
all over
about
the place,
certain
actually.
things. I'm everywhere. I'm wacky. But no, yeah, you can be traditional left and really love the Queen for some reason. People do that. It's trendy. People love the Queen.
Yeah.
She's old though.
She's like in her 90s,
like,
isn't she?
I don't know how you can live such a lavish lifestyle and live that long.
But people trying to keep you alive a lot, aren't they? So no.
I guess, yeah.
It's just sort of, I think it's that element of history. It's like it's like an old thing. It's almost like a relic, like an artifact that you need to take care of. I think that's why I like it a little bit. You know,
we don't need to sink quite so many millions of taxpayers' money into it. Like, we can have a royal family, whatever. Just stick them in like a high rise in Croydon. Maybe then they won't fucking burn down as often.
How do other countries do it? Because I know that is it Norway that has they have a king, don't they?
Oh, probably. Knowing them, you know what they're like. Their sort.
I'm pretty sure
they're always having kings.
Well, no, yeah, they do have a king and shit. Holland has a king and stuff because he flies KLM flights. Like, no one knew about it for ages. He was just flying planes.
Fucking sucking down those yogurt cartons of water. That's fucking bizarre.
No one's gonna get that. But
they will.
They eventually will save that topic for later. But
yeah, we will. Yeah, look forward to that. We'll probably release them a week apart, so it won't be too much waiting.
But yeah,
when we have the director's cut for that done?
Soon enough.
Make sure it comes out roughly around the same time as these.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
But yeah, what other disasters have happened since Grenfell?
Well, I mean the election.
Yeah, well that happened. Was that before? Yeah, was Grenfell before or after the election results? Well, it was before.
No, Grenfell was after.
It was way after. Sorry, wasn't it? Because it was the whole.
Yeah.
I remember the pay that they refused the pay rise for for emergency service workers.
Oh yeah, I put that in the group chat, didn't I?
Mm.
Yeah, very, very recently, as of the time of recording this, Parliament was trying to put through a bill to give public sector workers, so nurses, doctors, teachers, firefighters, quite pertinently, a measly, tiny 1% pay rise. So most of those sort of jobs, like 20 grand a year, that's 200 quid extra a year for being everyday heroes. And not only was it thrown out of Parliament and came up against so much opposition, it was like outvoted by 20 votes. It wasn't quite a landslide, but it was a significant no. It was cheered as it was thrown out. They were like, "Yeah, fucking get rid of that. This is a good thing that's happening."
Meanwhile, old Corbs is fucking. Not only is he budgeted for an increased pay rise, but also an increased number of both police and like the other emergency services, which is something that people are complaining about with in the wake of the whole sort of hotbed of like terrorist attacks.
Yeah.
And Theresa May is simultaneously cutting police numbers, and it's like, well, what do you want? It's just a bit of a mess, isn't it? Just a bit of a mess. Not only that, but now the Conservatives' plan to cling to power with a snap election has completely backfired, and now they're in bed with the DUP.
Yeah, I was about to say, you're giving it large about your fucking guru Jeremy Corbyn, but he's fucking got a magic money tree I don't know about. Is he shitting monkeys out of his arse? Monkeys is Cockney rhyming slang for 500 quid. But yeah, so that insult's levelled at him all the time when he wants to increase police presence on British streets and as a result reduce terror attacks that are happening all the time now, and wants to up firefighters' pay, and as a result amount of firefighters out there, reducing the calamities such as Grenfell, and people are like, oh yeah, I haven't got the money for that, and then out of nowhere Theresa May spunks £1 billion on clinging to power with the DUP. A massive cash injection for like, as a result for Northern Ireland. They're probably ecstatic.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess they could do with the money at this point after the Troubles, but it's like the two main
unionists.
It's the two main like insults lay down at Jeremy Corbyn's feet every time. He sympathised with the IRA or like sort of like terrorists.
There's pie in the sky.
You're pulling money out of your ass.
Yeah.
And they turn around and go, I'm going to give £1 billion to the DUP who like fucking founded the paramilitary group, the Ulster Rifles. There you go. And it's not like Jeremy Corbyn even did either of those things either. They've actually done it.
He's just a bit scruffy though, isn't he?
Oh, he's a bit scruffy, don't he?
That's the only like even nearly valid criticism of him, because obviously the magic money tree thing's bullshit. His policies were better costed than any other political party. What was the other one? Yeah, the whole IRA thing. Like, you make peace with your enemies, not your friends. You do have to have discussions with, bad people in order to bring about a positive conclusion. But yeah, that's pretty fucking gay, mate. I'm not very happy about the way things are going in this country.
It was members of the DUP as well who performed like the most major gun running between South Africa and Northern Ireland. It was them blokes who bought all those guns.
All those armour lights.
Oh yeah, the Armour Light 18, classic weapon.
Speaking of...
Yeah?
So whoever's listening to this, do yourself a massive favour. You probably aren't that big on the IRA. Neither am I. They've misbehaved in the past, but say what you like about the IRA, they got some fucking bangers. They got some really good songs. They have.
When it comes to drumming up a bit of support and a bit of Irish pride, they don't do any. They don't do it. No one does it as good as the IRA in terms of song. Oof.
Not yet.
Some
No one.
humdingers.
They really brought out the plastic paddy in me. I was fucking.
He was ready to go and blow up fucking Buckingham Palace with a fucking 1987 Bentley.
But yeah, and they're bizarrely popular. Like, if you type in like IRA songs, there's loads of them, and they all have like 4 million views.
And everyone's singing praises in the comments all the time. One big thing as well is the amount of Palestinians that turn up in the comments and say, "Fucking welcome Support from Palestine and vice versa.
Support from
Our
Palestine
Palestinian
brothers. Each countryman for his own country, and that sort of stuff. And then there's always like that thing you get all over YouTube, like greetings from Norway. Like, fuck off.
Yeah, I hate that shit. You get it on everything. Like, you'd be watching like something, I don't know, like a fucking, like, I don't know, whatever it is, like whatever video, and someone will be like, "Oh yeah, good video, guys. Welcome, hello from fucking Norway," and it's like, fucking Norway is not even like if someone said like hello from, I don't know, like Antarctica, I'm sat in a fucking like an Antarctic science base watching this video, I'd be like, yeah, that's fair enough, that's quite impressive. Or like hello from the moon. But like hello from fucking Norway, no one gives a fuck you come from Norway or what you're doing in Norway right now. Alright? No one cares where you're from. Especially on the YouTube comments.
Fucking handed it to them there.
Take that, Norwegians. It's not just the Norwegians.
Nah, you've definitely given that impression, mate.
I like giving the impression that I hate Norwegians. I've never met a Norwegian.
Yeah, well, you know what they're like, though. They're sort. But let's get past that.
Yeah, past the Norwegians. Fucking
yeah, they've suffered enough at your hands.
I'd like to make things suffer more, to be honest. I'm not even sure where Norway is. It's one of those countries, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of them. It's in Scandinavia somewhere.
It's like one of those bits in the middle of Europe.
No, I don't think. I think it's one of the willy bits. You know, the bit. You know, Europe's big willy.
The hanging donger.
The one on the right is Sweden. The one on the left, I think, is Norway. Maybe. It's split down the middle like a, what's it called, a King Charles. Don't Google what? That. Don't
I ain't gonna
that.
check. I'm just gonna say yeah. You're right.
Yeah, I reckon I am. I reckon that is where Norway is. How about that? But it's time for our weekly segment of Who's That Man?
Who's that? This is my favourite segment.
I'll give you a clue, Ewan. I will give you a clue because this one's tricky. It's been quite easy the past few times we've done this. He's an awful, awful cunt.
Right.
Who is he?
This could be quite a few people. Is it Rupert Murdoch?
Correct!
Oh, no way.
Join us next week for another instalment of Who's That Man? But before we get off that,
I did mention Rupert Murdoch for a reason, actually.
I was going to say, why is Rupert Murdoch such a cunt? And this can bring us into our next thing quite expertly. It's almost as if we're professionals.
But that, I don't know if you know this, but Rupert Murdoch is currently trying to buy Sky, like all of Sky.
Oh yeah, I read about that.
Yeah, for £11.7 billion. But there's the competition authority has postponed it for another 6 months, sort of pending investigation into whether or not they'll let him do it.
Doesn't he already own like a third of the media in this country?
Pretty much. I mean, he owns, I have no idea how much he owns.
If he takes Sky as well, he'll basically just be downloading his agenda into the consciousness of the British people. I mean, he already is to a pretty massive extent. But if he takes Sky as well, that's a big chunk of our...
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Where we get our consciousness from. That's nuts.
I'm gonna look him up real quick on the old Wikipedia. But his net worth for a start is $12.5 billion, which is a lot of money. Let's see what he owns actually. Well, he's actually part of the Republican political party, so he has actual like clear political allegiance. He's a Republican.
I mean, yeah, you don't need to be part of a regimented group for that to be overwhelmingly obvious. You just look at what his papers print and think, oh so shit, it's the 1950s.
Fucking hell, he's had a fair few spouses as well.
Yeah,
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, he owns News Corp and 21st Century Fox.
That's the thing about being a horrible, horrible arsehole. It's quite difficult to hold down a relationship, I imagine.
But so News Corp make newspapers. But it's not just a newspaper, it's a lot of different newspaper. So it owns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 7 major newspapers across the planet. So like across the Western world mainly. But then obviously owns 21st Century Fox as well, which is very big. They own shit like it's mass media, so it's like they own CNN, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, here we go. So they've got 21st Century Fox, Blue Sky Studios, 21st Century Fox Television, Fox Star Studios, FX, Sky PLC, a bunch of things I've never heard of. Fox Sports. They own Hulu, Star TV. I don't even know what these fucking things are. But like, yeah, if he buys Sky, then that's pretty much a stranglehold on most of the world's press. All coming out the mouth of a Republican at that as well.
Speaking of Republicans, unless you've got any more to add to that.
No, I've done shit talking, old Rupert.
Well, I'm about to start shit talking Republicans.
Good.
Because I do want to ask them, why is it you have greater concern for a collection of spunk cells and embryotic fluid than you do actual human beings? Do you find that?
Yeah, I find that. Yeah.
They'll go on a moral crusade to save a recalcitrinating wad of cum, but when it comes to the welfare state and foreign aid and actually, you know, helping human beings, all of a sudden they're not that pro-life.
Yeah, it's like they're pro-life as long as it's barely sort of growing inside a woman's womb, and then as soon as it's like, not even as soon as, years before it's even had its first sip of beer, they shipped it off to Afghanistan and it's dead within a week. It's bizarre to me.
Because it makes me wonder, because we know a few people that are pro-life, and
yeah,
I'd like to think, in their case at least, it comes purely from a place of compassion. But I think for most pro-life people, it doesn't. Because if you're a compassionate human being and your politics comes from a place of compassion, you'd be like, oh no, it's beautiful life and you got to preserve it. And then once they're born, you'd be like, oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, it continues outside of being, you know, shot out of a fanny. So, my question is, ultimately, why do you think, where do you think the pro-life stance comes from? Because it's quite patently not a place of compassion. I think it might be religious fundamentalism. That's all I think it
is, but well, that's the thing. In America, there's obviously like they've been clamping down on abortion clinics like big time. You know,
yeah, Donald Trump's seen to that.
I was reading an article recently.
Gonna have American women fucking going fishing with coat hangers like it's the 1960s.
That's not even a joke. I read statistics recently. I can't remember them all, but it's in a magazine.
I know it's not a joke. This is reality.
There was I think it was in Texas, a nurse said that at least once a month they get a phone call, usually related to how much bleach someone can drink before they die. So like, and apparently there's a statistic like a lot of women attempt to end their pregnancies on their own, like because just the absence of clinics
by drinking controlled amounts of bleach.
Yeah, and using coat hangers. But in most states,
that's awful. Like I never heard about the bleach thing. Does that work?
It must work. I don't know really how it works, but
because it's not like you just bleach it out like phlegm in a drain.
It's poison, isn't it? Because the baby feeds on the nutrition that the woman takes in while she's pregnant.
Yeah, I suppose that'd have to be because like obviously the womb isn't part of the digestive tract, so the bleach itself doesn't come into contact with it like shit in a U-bend. It's absorbed into the blood. Gee, my word.
But the amount of abortion clinics by state is rocketing down, and if you think of how big like states are in when I say state, people think like, especially in this country, it's like a county, like Devon's not big,
or Hampshire, like
or like Somerset.
You can get from one side to the other in about half an hour.
The rate of abortion in the US is at an all-time low, but
safe ones at least.
Let's see if I can get to
you know me, I'm very opinionated and I'm very stalwart in my beliefs, but when it comes to being pro-choice, that's one of my most adamant sort of political beliefs. I don't know why it's up to Donald Trump to say what women can and can't do with their bodies.
That's something I want to mention as well, because a lot of people pin this on the old Donald, and without sounding like
go for it.
I
think you are onto something.
I think I am, because it's not him. The thing
is partly him.
I think it's partly, obviously, but I think people are using him as a tool to exercise power. Like he's not a Republican. He's not a Democrat. The Republican Party hated him. Democrat.
Yeah, no, he's alt-right. He's like a new sort of.
He's bizarre.
He's the political wing of 4chan, I he's the political wing of /pol.
It's Well, I don't think he's that bad. Slash Paul is pretty fucking bad.
Yeah, no, granted. All right, I'll concede that.
I don't know if it's his Vice. I don't think. No, it's not his Vice because that's Pence, isn't it? But you've heard of Steve Bannon?
Yeah, I've heard the name.
He's the one pushing all this sort of like abortion bills and things like that through, and all the ones that are related to sort of almost sort of quite fundamental Christianity. And if you look into Steve Bannon's backlog, his history, it becomes even sort of more unsettling because he's made a whole series of documentaries which paint the world in like sort of like a war between. It paints like the Christians as like a persecuted kind of collective, and how the resurgence of sort of like the Christian way of life is coming back, and that.
How fucking historically inept do you have to be to think that Christians are the persecuted people of the world? Because
he's made a lot of. I'm gonna look these up real quick just to make sure, because I remember watching a video on it, but like, and it's him who's pushing a lot of things through, and also I don't know if you've looked at Steve Bannon's face.
No.
But he looks like a bit of an evil cunt, so. But yeah, so if I did Steve Bannon documentaries, but yeah, I'm gonna look at the names of some. But it's because I feel like Donald Trump is just almost like a regular guy.
Nah, he's definitely not, mate.
I can't help but there's like the whole political authenticity. Like a lot of politicians are like, you know, they say things that are apparently not true, like barefaced lies to sort of paint this picture, and there's not like an authentic human bone in them. You can see that in like Theresa May. You know, she's like a politician at heart. Jeremy Corbyn is more authentic. It's not even all that. It's just the human sort of things they say. Like when she said, like the question, you know, the whole running through fields of wheat.
Yeah, that was like the most like robotic response you can.
It was like a lizard was trying to think of what humans do, but the last thing it read was a book from fucking 1922.
Because from her perspective, that's the perfect response. It's like it's like she's
like,
math.
Yes, nailed it.
It's like she did the math in her head, and like binary was coming down her face, and she was running the numbers and was like, what is the optimal response? Something that would conjure up an idealistic, retrospective idea of Britain.
Retrotopia.
Yeah, that's it. The retrotopia vision of Britain. Wheatfields, naughty. I can't say anything that's actually naughty because I've got to maintain an air of legitimacy. Running through a field of wheat, bingo, and fired that out a robotic lizard mouth.
Yeah, so it's like.
But no, I still don't.
And then when Jeremy Corbyn gets asked what's the naughtiest thing you ever done, he's like, you know, he does a little, oh, it's far too naughty. There's a little wink, and it's just more human. It's the more human response. It was quick. It was funny. And with Donald Trump, I think he almost has an air of authenticity about him. In like when he's like fucking, he just clearly doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't really know what he's doing. And when he's on Twitter, like he's on Twitter all the time talking shit. Like he said recently, like something to do with. It's basically along the lines of like, screw all the haters and losers, and it's like, yeah, that's the man, that's the leader of the free world, essentially just saying fuck the haters.
He's basically just quoting so Little Wayne.
Yeah, it's so weird.
That is really bizarre. I never saw that. But do you remember the time when he personally wrote a letter into like the council to get some black people hung? Do you remember that? We watched a documentary that had that featured.
He did what, sorry?
We watched a documentary together that had that featured in it. I'm trying to remember which documentary it was. I think it was a Michael Moore documentary, and there were some black alleged criminals, and he wrote in personally to have them killed. Like he was pushing for the death penalty.
I don't remember that, but yeah, the death penalty is just... I don't even know why anyone even fucking thinks that... Well, I'd say works. It kind of does work, but at what cost? I mean... If you don't want someone to commit a crime anymore, killing them is a pretty good way of stopping them from committing crimes. But what lesson does it teach people? Because that's what the law is, isn't it? It's a lesson. Mm-hmm. But some of Steve Bannon's documentaries include The Undefeated, came out in 2011, which is it documents the life and career of Sarah Palin. One called Generation Zero, which is an American documentary. Doesn't say what it's about actually, but there's other ones that are like called In the Face of Evil, story about Reagan, Fire from the Heartland. It's like all this kind of, again, like a retrotopia kind of thing. one called Torchbearer, which has got the guy from fucking Duck Dynasty in it. Makes an argument of the absurdity of life without God.
Just so you know, I wasn't pulling the thing about Donald Trump out of my ass. There's an article about it. He writes a personal letter, signs it, and it is colourfully entitled "Bring Back the Death Penalty, Bring Back Our Police." And the black people he was trying to have murdered were actually innocent. They were falsely convicted. So yeah, that's
wow, that was close.
That's why I don't really consider him to be a human being, because that's what he does in his day to day. You know, that's what he used to do before he was a political figure. Just sort of try and offhandedly have people killed, like a mafioso.
I saw another weird article. This is probably more comical than getting black people killed, but
well, I mean, you know, for some people that's a laugh riot.
It said again, it's that weird sort of. It's just like weird lie. It's not like even that much, like even that important, but it's obviously a lie, and it's creating this false reality. It said, it was like a quote from a doctor, and it said that if it was like written before Trump was president, but it said like something like, if Trump wins the presidency, he'll be unequivocally the healthiest president in a while. And like, that's not true. That can't be true. He's old. He's overweight. I've seen pictures of him struggling to get up a hill.
He's obviously had a drug habit at some point.
You don't have to look far back to find a healthier president. In fact, you don't have to look far back at all. You can just look at
Barack Obama. Yeah, no, you don't have to look far back at all. He's definitely healthier.
He's definitely healthier than Donald Trump. And
he's way trimmer. He must have healthier living habits.
His inauguration, where people saying, "Oh, this is the biggest inauguration in ages," and it's like, you're looking at pictures of it and you can see the amount of empty chairs. And then you can look at, again, you don't have to look very far back, you look at Obama's inauguration, like thousands of people. But it's just this weird, and he keeps talking about fake news and stuff. He is fake news. Him and his mates are fake news. Not to say that fucking whoever else is, it's just weird. We just live in a weird fucking timeline. A very bizarre timeline.
I think we live in a lot. You know when Brass Eye was being made by Chris Morris?
Yeah.
I think there was like some sort of a quantum meme that went on, and we just sort of like dived headfirst into a script he was working on, and it just sort of manifested itself in a weird way.
We're living inside a Chris Morris news parody.
That's why Chris Morris. Like, have you followed Chris Morris's career? He hasn't done much.
He hasn't done a lot since Brass Eye, really.
Yeah, like I was on his Wikipedia, I was looking through his discography, all the shit he's done. There's not a lot there, and that's because he's like, if I write anything down, it comes true.
He was the first fake news bloke when it was funny and on purpose.
Well, I mean, his fake news became real news. Like,
it did.
Like if Brass Eye was to come on today in America, I reckon it would be pretty difficult to differentiate him between that and Fox News.
Well, that's the thing. It's getting like, it's like a weird post-satire world we live in. Just shit keeps happening, and you're like, this is a joke, right? Like, this is completely unrelated to politics, but fucking Shadbase, who, if you're not familiar with, don't bother googling him.
And if you do, see you in 20 minutes.
Yeah, and if you do know who he is, then I'm sure you know about this already. But basically, he draws very questionable, like hentai pornography, with usually.
I believe I've done my research, right? I believe it's referred to as lolly or shotto.
Lolly, yeah, questionable ages.
Questionable age.
All you need to know. Very questionable age, and he did admittedly a safe for work one, I guess, but it was a very scantily clad, very young girl, sort of, and then she was doing the L, the shape of an L on her forehead, and it was like a fucking Smash Mouth meme, and the official Smash Mouth Twitter page fucking posted it and was like, hey, this is pretty cool, and it was like, and then they replied to their own tweet saying, oh yeah, we just checked this guy's other work, he's maybe not so cool. And it's just weird. Everything's so weird nowadays. Everything's so weird and bizarre.
It's good. It's a good thing it's all going to end soon.
It's a good thing. I think global. Yeah, I've been leaving like my I've been buying aerosols from like fucking Costco, like getting bulks of them and just spraying them out of my window.
I've left all my taps on.
Yeah, I've left my refrigerator open. Just trying to
That's
things.
something that I think I'm pretty sure it was Paul Joseph Watson. Fucking
yeah. After the Paris thing, he was like, "Oh, we're going to celebrate by."
yeah, you're familiar with this. Right after Donald Trump pulled America out of the 2020 Paris climate agreement.
Right when Donald Trump killed the world, you mean?
That moment then,
blew us up.
where he condemned me to not being able to watch my kids grow up. That moment there. Paul Joseph Watson took to Twitter to say, "Ooh, it's produced so much delectable butthurt from the leftists, so I'm going to go and turn my heating on full blast and like get a grip, mate. Read something." 97% of all scientific consensus. How can you take yourself seriously as an alleged skeptic rationale and go against 97% of what science says? That's what I'm finding more and more. Like, the more the alt-right progress, the less they're being rational and skeptical. Because once upon a time, you could have argued that they were just being super rational, super skeptical. Now, they're fucking far-right evangelical Christians, for fuck's sake, denying climate change.
Fucking conservatism is the new punk rock, mate. It's the new counterculture, as said by good old Paul Joseph Watson himself.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. Like, it is bizarre how...
Working for a man who routinely rips his shirt off live on air and runs around screaming.
Yeah, hasn't Alex Jones ran into a bit of legal trouble recently?
Yeah, well, I can't remember what state he lives in, but the courts of that specific state have decided to take his kids off him because of his state of his mental health.
Fair enough.
Which, though, the lawyers that came to his defense and shit like that, they all came out as like, oh, this is just a joke. This is just like performance art. It's all just satire. And they haven't really picked up on that. Like, no one. It just sort of further dispels this kind of question as to whether Alex Jones is real or not.
Oh no, he definitely is. No, that's just like, if you're a lawyer and here's your case, the only defense to be made is, oh, he's joking. Of course he's joking. That's like the first thing that comes to mind. There's no way he's anything other than for real.
I saw a clip where he gets really, really mad. Like, he starts bashing the desk and stuff, screaming, and he rips his shirt off, and he starts running around like a crazed animal, like snarling and like growling at the camera, and everyone's filming him, and he starts like shouting like weird shit, like you'll never take me alive or whatever, and he runs out of the studio, and everyone's like filming him running outside the studio, and one guy shouts, "Oh, he's on the loose!" Like, quite sort of like, I don't know.
This is what it is. Either he is a really far right nutjob with a screw loose who's a bit mentally ill. That's option A. Or option B is he's the best actor ever to live. So you can weigh up in your mind what you think is more likely. I know where my money is, but I mean, it is a bit of a shame that he's having his kids taken away. I wouldn't wish that upon my worst fucking enemy. That is horrible. But
I don't know if that's like gone through or not. But last time I checked, he was getting his kids taken off.
But he definitely shouldn't be given a fucking platform to fucking talk about
well,
the
then
shit
that's,
he talks about.
But that's the First Amendment, mate.
Yeah, well, it's called an amendment for a fucking reason. Don't let far right racist lunatics spout their bullshit. It's enabling.
Everyone's got to have. I don't know if we should just. That's like censoring them. That's like dangerous territory. I don't know about that. One clear thing people have to understand is that freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom of consequence. So you can say whatever you like, but the right wing do that a lot. They'll go on about the freedom of speech and all that, and they'll say something, and then you'll call them a cunt using your free speech, and they'll go, "You can't call me a cunt. I'm using my free speech." It's like, yeah, well, so am I. You're a cunt. You know. Ugh.
Yeah, I don't really know where I fall on it, because obviously, you know, I'm pro free speech. Everyone in the fucking world is pro free speech, but I feel like there should be caveats to that, because when the consequence of it is right wing people being given like a really good run of the mill to completely propagandize and brainwash a populace to the point where they vote for their own sort of enslavement.
Well, I remember there was
maybe we've lent a bit heavily on the freedom of speech thing.
there was a case a while ago carried out by a father of a dead American soldier, whose funeral was picketed by Westboro Baptist Church. You know, that's the thing they like to do, is picket funerals of dead soldiers or anyone who's died, because they think like they got this weird thing where every sort of disaster is like, because like everybody's a sinner, even themselves, all this original sin kind of bullshit, all this sort of bad stuff happening, like things like cancer, natural disasters, war, dying in a war, it's all like good because it's all God's wrath and blah 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 blah. So they like to picket funerals of dead soldiers.
Do they think cancer's a new thing?
Yeah, I don't know, but
because that's been around. That's been around. That's just. It used to be called dying. we got a name for it.
He just died.
Like,
but
I figured out what it was.
So this guy. So the argument was like, well, they're just expressing their opinion. You know, however backward it may be, very backward, might add, like extremely backward. But then they were taken to court on sort of this topic by this guy whose son had died, and they turned up at their funeral. He said that like, sure, free speech, people are allowed to do free speech, and maybe them standing on the side of the road and doing it, or whatever they want to do, is fine. But coming to like my son's funeral and causing sort of intentional emotional distress and harm on a person to push your agenda isn't free speech. That's where it should stop. And they tried to sue the Westboro Baptist Church for a lot of money. I don't know. I never know if it went through or not. And then when broached about it on the steps of this courthouse, they just broke out into I think they love doing, right, because I've been watching a lot of Luther documentaries. I rewatched both parts of his Westboro one. They love to appropriate modern songs, like quite like Lady Gaga and that shit, but like put their own like weird like words to put their agenda to it. So they have like all these catchy sort of songs about like fags burning in hell and shit like that.
That sounds great. I didn't.
They were surrounded by like news people and journalists and stuff, and they said, "What do you think about it?" or whatever, and they just broke out into a rendition of
"Abortion's a Sin" to the tune of Katy Perry, "I Kissed a Girl."
I think it was "Telephone" by Lady Gaga. They just started singing about. It's so weird. I'm actually going to Google if that went through or not.
That's hysterical. I'm looking that up.
So it's like Westboro.
I might start doing that myself just for fun, sort of repurposing modern songs and just exchanging the lyrics for like really far right propaganda.
Yeah, Schneider versus Phelps. Let's see if actually. So it to the Supreme Court. Liability of tort emotional distress, even in the circumstances that speech is viewed and interpreted as offensive or outrageous. Yes, so son Matthew Snyder Marine was killed during the Iraq War. Wow, okay, then fucking the court ruled in favour of Phelps, Westboro Baptist Church, in an 8-1 decision,
unanimous,
determining that their speech related to a public issue was completely protected and could not be prevented as it was on public property.
Yeah, well, Americans are racist, aren't they? That's just how that was going to go.
But you know what? Fucking...
was it about race or was it about gay people? They hate a lot of people, so it's difficult to keep up with.
It was about a fucking soldier. They love soldiers.
Oh right, they just sort of hate everything.
It
was about soldiers and an American jury.
Yeah. Marine Lance Corporal Matthew A. Schneider was killed in a non-combat related vehicle accident in Iraq.
And the Westboro Baptist Church people picketed his funeral, and then an American jury didn't convict them.
Yeah.
I don't. All right, now I rescind my previous comment. I have no idea what that's about.
Nor do I. I haven't. It's weird. Yeah, but you know what? Fucking Fred Phelps. If he's so special, why is he a fucking corpse now? Why is he dead? If God loves him so much. I'm pretty sure the Westboro Baptist, there's no one left in that Westboro Baptist Church. It's very small. I'm pretty sure it's just one family now, almost.
Well, they're
people defect all the time. The leader of it, Fred Phelps, is dead. When did he die? Fred Phelps. He died in 2014.
That's right when they were gaining popularity. Well, sort of at peak popularity in 2014.
I don't really know if you can
that they were doing really well in 2014. They'd gone from strength to strength. They had a hell of a following. Every gay parade was getting fucking accosted by them. But I had a very interesting conversation recently with an American. I got one, a real one. I caught him. I put a bunch of semi-automatic weapons, like just under a box with a stick, and I tied string to the stick, and then I wrote on the box school supplies. And before I knew it, there was Americans lining up, and one of them got in there, like just nuzzled in there like a wild animal, got their guns and scurried about, and like sort of started digging a bed like a dog does. And then I just boom pulled the stick out, and the box fell, and I got caught an American, and I started talking to them.
Wow! So I've just looked up.
Alright,
yeah, just very quickly touch on the previous topic. There was a person called Lauren Drain, who used to be in the Westboro Baptist Church. And if you give her a quick Google image search, she probably couldn't have gone further away from the church if she wanted to. So if you're listening at home, type in Lauren Drain, exactly how it's spelled. Lauren, Lauren, and then Drain.
Oh,
and, yeah. So she's really gone the other way. I'm proud of her for announcing the rule the church, the Westboro Baptist Church had over her. Quite spectacular.
fucking hell, man, I'm trying to do a podcast here.
Anyway, so you trapped an American.
How tall is she?
She's is that your
1.68? Yes. All right. I'll research that later. But
yeah, I'm just gonna mark this for research.
For research purposes,
okay,
yeah. Lost my train of thought now.
American.
Oh yeah, the American.
You were talking to one.
I was a real one. So I caught him, and I was talking to him, and yeah. But jokes aside, I met an American bloke. Seemed like a good geezer. He is. He's a nice bloke. A little bit misguided at best. At worst, sorry. And we get on because we have quite a lot of similar interests. Poetry mainly. He's big into poetry, and I thought that's quite. It's rare for a man in Britain to be into poetry. I imagine in America it's really rare. So that piqued my interest. And we got talking, and he said, and we began to sort of get into politics, because that's what I do. Whenever I talk to anyone, it always ends up into politics. And he said he considered himself to be really atypical of Americans, and I thought, that would be interesting, because I've never met an atypical American. I've met a fair few Americans, and they're all politically pretty much on the same page. They're not quite as polarised as the British. Like, the main issues they're all pretty much on board with. And he did seem like, from his personality, that he would be very not what you'd expect of an American. But we got through the conversation, and to keep a long story short, he came out as being pro-life, militantly pro-guns, very pro-guns. And yeah, it was just like a far-right Republican. But he's actually a very sensitive soul, big into like literature and poetry, social outcast. Yet he's bought republicanism hook, line and sinker, and I found that really interesting. And it's just, I've not really got much to comment on it, but it's just sort of food for thought. I wonder what you thought about that.
Well, I would tell you, but I've been on Lauren Drain's Twitter for like the past 10 minutes, so I'm not aware. I didn't know what you said. No, you can. If anyone has a mixed up political spectrum, it's you, mate. So like, you should understand that people can.
Yeah, no, but he doesn't. That's the point.
Well, I thought you just said he was a sensitive sort of soul, and he was into like the arts.
Yeah,
or whatever,
yeah,
but
politically, he's just completely right wing, and that does really caught me off guard.
The arts are often associated with sort of the further left, but I mean that's not always the case. Evidently, he's.
But it's not just that he was into arts, it was also that he is a self-confessed outcast, and that he's confesses himself to be different to most Americans. Yeah.
But he ain't that different if he's...
But he, as I said, pro-life, pro-gun, he absolutely detests communism, even though he doesn't know the first thing about it. And he hates tax, and he's really big into the free market. And that's just America. That's just what Americans think. That's just what they've, they are. It's not a foregone conclusion, but they are arguably the most propagandized, brainwashed nation on the planet. In the developed world, I should say. And yeah, it just I found that very perplexing. The sort of lack of polarization in American politics when it comes to issues. When it comes to people and picking a side, very polarized. But when it comes to the issues, it tends to be, guns, they're fucking sweet, man.
Guns are cool though.
And we got into the debate, and obviously I kicked his ass because that's the easiest. Like guns, that's the easiest debate for the left to win, as far as I'm concerned. It's just a foregone conclusion. But yeah, no.
That is their argument, isn't it? The argument is, there's two major points pro gun. A, they're cool, which is just sort of not really much of an argument.
Yeah,
and
you
two,
can't argue that.
It protects me from people.
Yeah, like.
That also have guns, but then if no one had guns, then you won't need a gun to protect yourself from a guy who has a gun, because neither of you have a gun.
The gift there is a plethora of case studies. Look at the gun violence in the UK. Look at it in Australia. Australia is probably my favourite case study because they had guns. They had them for a while, and then a guy went mental and killed those people, and then they were like, "Yeah, we probably shouldn't have guns. We're going to get rid of the guns." And the Australian populace, as one, went, yeah, that's a good idea, let's get rid of the guns. And they got rid of the guns. And since then, fucking nothing. No mass shootings whatsoever. None. Zero. Nada. And, when you know things like that, it just makes it obvious. And yeah, when they say, yeah, but guns are cool, fair enough, can't argue with that. That's a point that is... It's a shit point, but it is valid. Guns are cool. I'll never begrudge them that. And then it's the defense thing, but it doesn't defend you. You become far more vulnerable to gun violence the moment a gun enters your house.
And at the time when someone breaks into your house, it's not to murder you; it's because they want your flat screen.
Yeah, they want. Yeah, just that's what I don't get as well. Like even if someone did break in to get your flat screen, what are you going to do? Are you going to kill them? Are you going to kill someone for trying to steal your things? Like they're in dire straits. They're trying to make ends meet. They've broke your window and they're nicking your flat screen. You're going to murder them. They're like probably 2.5 decades of collective experience. Their families, all of the connections they've made, all of the experience they've had. You're going to end that because they're nicking your Samsung.
I understand keeping a bat behind your bed, and if someone's nicking TV, you give them
a right good seeing to and make sure they don't fucking
you give them a crack over the edge.
Damn straight.
And just make him leave. Like, I know you're trying to steal my TV, now fuck off.
But you're gonna go to Walmart,
but shooting them in the fucking head because they're trying to nick your Blu-ray.
5.56 rounds used for killing.
And how many fucking times have you read a story where like a kid's murdered both of his parents because they said like no, and he just went to the wardrobe and took their fucking dead.
Yeah, that happens often enough as well.
Popped his mum in the head while she was making meatloaf. Like there was this one where like it was a really religious family, and they were really like begrudging towards video games. They didn't want him to have a video game or play a video game. He really wanted Halo 3. Who can blame the guy?
I mean,
Halo 3 is fucking fantastic.
I thought you get. Sorry, I'm sorry for all the coughing and spluttering. By the way, I'm quite ill at the minute. I'm fucking out of my mind on strepsils trying to circumvent it. But when you said like a religious family that don't want his kids playing video games, I thought you were going to say like Grand Theft Auto, like something that actually.
No, it's Halo 3 where you fight aliens.
Alright. Yeah, alright.
And eventually they gave in, and they're like, alright, we'll let you play Halo 3. And he was playing Halo 3, having a good time. His dad saw the content of the game, retracted his statement and thought, you know what, no, you're not allowed this. And he put it in his strongbox where he kept his pistol. And the kid just fucking obviously got the key, unlocked his strongbox, took the game back, also took his dad's fucking pistola, went downstairs whilst they were watching TV, shot both of them in the back of the head, killed his mum, but his dad survived.
His dad survived being shot in the head?
Yeah.
Fire.
Some people do.
Fucking hell.
But,
that's horrible. That is a horrible story. I almost feel bad bringing that up in a sort of political sense. That's just something that's sort of best left
The only way to stop this from fucking happening is
you're
not
dead.
giving
You're dead
everybody a
right.
gun.
You are dead. You do have to politicise these things, and it's awful.
And even if you do keep your gun, even safer than, like, say if you have a vault in your fucking
When
house,
someone
you keep
breaks
all your
in, what are you
guns.
gonna do? Like, sorry, but like by the time they broke in, stole your TV and fucked off, you would have only just gotten halfway through the combination, got your gun out, and they've left with. But let's say, for whatever reason, Americans have this fear that someone's come into your house just to kill you for some arbitrary reason. They just fancy killing you because that's a reasonable thing to worry about. That's such a bizarre level of delusion to have in a country.
It's like not going outside when it's raining in case you get struck by lightning.
I mean, it's just.
It's probably more likely.
Then someone just randomly come to your house because they fancy killing someone. Yeah,
Just driving down the road, you think, actually, hang on, this house here, number 73. I'll just go
I
and
reckon
murder
I'd kill,
those in there.
I reckon
Really,
I'd kill them.
I could
Like,
do
if
the
you
murder.
own a gun in America, you better have a lot of enemies. You better be an arsehole. You better have a lot of enemies. You better have pissed off a lot of people. Then it's justified. But so that will make a massive sort of assertion that, all right, someone's climbed through your window with the prime objective of killing you, and he's there with his gun that you're so worried about. You're going to go to your responsible gun owner gun safe and do the combination and be like, mate, look, you could shoot me, but that's not fair. I'm not ready.
Let me get my gun. Let's have a duel in my
Let me get
living
my
room.
gun from my safe that I have to have so that my kids won't kill me in my sleep because I own a really irresponsible weapon. Let me just. Oh, there we go. I've got it clicked open. I'm spoiled for choice. I am an American after. I'm 4 guns for every American.
Oh, I've been shot in the spine. Oh,
You've
just
killed me. I
shot
didn't
me in the
choose my
spine.
favourite one. Yeah, I had to load it. Yeah, because you shouldn't keep them loaded. Because otherwise, my kid will just fucking ice me when I say you can't watch The Simpsons.
You just get like petrified of your own kids and just have like complete rule over you.
I would
like,
be.
Mum, I want ice cream.
If I
want ice cream
was
for dinner.
American.
It's like, no,
those horror
Jim,
stories.
you're not having ice cream.
Kind of.
You're not having ice cream for dinner. We're having casserole for dinner, not ice cream. You hear him go off to his room.
You just hear.
There's like, no,
Shit, ice cream.
I'm getting the Neapolitan out.
It's
I'm
the
getting it
Ben
out.
and Jerry's.
Look, it's out the freezer.
You just roll it to him like down the hallway, and he says, "Throw the spoon," and you throw the spoons in.
You're in a SWAT-esque standoff with your own son.
Then
Upstairs with your AR. You're down here
then he
with your.
like kicks the shotgun out into the living room, and he takes the hurriedly fucking scoffs up the ice cream and scuttles upstairs. And you got to run after him.
I got this image of like a lovely little family, sort of suburban family home, where there's like guns everywhere. There's like that kind of like that stereotype where there's like a shotgun like hooked under the table. There's a Tech 9 in one of the floorboards that you can kick up. I actually saw a product recently, right? That was an American product that might help with the whole, just in case a man's come to murder you because he doesn't like you and you specifically and wants you dead.
Is this the gun bed?
It is the gun bed.
Yeah, the gun bed. I thought that's where you were going with this. The gun bed's great. Like,
the guy just kicks back this sort of like, I don't know what it is. It's like a compartment in the head of his bed, and a shotgun rolls out of it, and he fucking rolls into action like James Bond, ready to fire.
I'll describe this as best as I can because this is an auditory platform. So basically, what the gun bed is, if you're not familiar with it, you can always Google it, but don't worry about that. I'll sort you out. In the sort of head, is it called a headrest? Like the backboard.
Yeah, the head of the bed, the backboard of the bed.
The backboard of the bed. It's got a compartment that you push as you lean back, and then it has a compartment where a shotgun drops out of it, but you can store anything in there. And I would unironically buy one just to store shit.
What would you put in it? What would you put in your gun bed?
Sex toys, obviously. That's
just have
that's the
dildos
obvious
rain
thing.
out of it.
Just at the ready, just fucking push it back, and you got a little Pikachu butt plug. Ram out.
Surely
there,
it should
and
be
you got a
like
little tail.
it should be more like in reverse, like a quicker. So like if you've got it right up your ass and you can hear your parents coming upstairs, it's a quick whip it out back in the dildo bed, and then I'm just laying in bed, mum.
I'm just laying in bed. I wasn't doing anything acrobatic and perverted. I wasn't working away at my gag reflex with a toothbrush. No, but what I would have in my gun bed is an army of bees for similar reasons for home defense. So
a guy comes in, he's pointing at you.
a madman dives through the window and says, "Jason, I have arrived in this premises exclusively to kill you for reasons that are beyond my knowledge."
You've got your hands up beside your head, and you're
back.
like, you're like, oh
yeah,
oh
I
no,
put
what
my
am I
hands up.
gonna do?
Oh no, I surrender, and then I just sort of put my hands back a bit,
And then you
push
go-
back, and then an army of 4 million bees protrudes from the bed and stings the shit out of him.
Not only do they sting him, but they sort of lift him up in the air with their collective sort of force and carry him out into the night sky. Just before you activate the bees, though, you put your hands up vertically, so you're almost touching the bee bed platform compartment, and you go, whoa, Mr. Killer, there's no reason to be irrational. Bang! Bees out, kill him.
Yeah, that's great. Alright, I'll tell you what, we should get in touch with the gun bed people, and when the Second Amendment is inevitably fucking put to one side, because I have a lot of faith in Americans, and they're going to make some good decisions soon, I don't doubt it.
They need to repurpose and diversify the market.
Exactly, like, rather than having guns to defend yourself, get some bees.
Get an army of well-trained bees.
Really well trained. See, that would create a lot of jobs. Bee trainers, people that train attack bees.
I'd put like loads of jam in mine, and so just like when you'd be like, oh no, you can stay in my bed, and then they go like, oh, is this one of those gun beds? And you're like, yeah, look, you can get my shotgun out, and then covered in jam.
I mean, that's just a practical joke.
They'd be like, oh, you kooky crazy guy, and I'd be like, I'm just a zany character in my gun bed with jam.
I'm just a zany comic book character that's become real and really wants to die. I keep filling my bed with jam and serenading strangers so they'll come back and sleep with me, and then I can scream at Bagongi as I fucking cover them in jam.
You could put like a sort of movie-related treats in there. So when you're watching a movie with your significant other or a friend, and they'd be like, "Man, this movie would be better with some popcorn." And you're like, "Bang!" Fucking salted popcorn everywhere, all over your bed, and you'd be like,
"Oh,
this was a horrible idea."
Not a packet of Butterkist.
Not a packet of them, just loose, just like full to the brim, loose popcorn everywhere.
Just something that would like ruin your bed, like toast. Like,
oh man,
like
I hate having a crummy bread. Crummy bread. I hate crummy bread.
Bread's awful. It doesn't.
I also hate a crummy bed as well.
I actually hate crummy bread more than a crummy bed.
It's a far less pertinent issue in my life. In fact, I'd say almost it's completely zero. However, I hate the concept of it. I'd never have it myself. Getting some crumbs in your bed is awful.
I did something horrible to my sister once.
What's that?
You know, toasters have that little tray, the detachable tray at the bottom.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm on about? And it's fucking covered in crumbs. It's the crumb collector. So I thought, like, I never knew that existed. I was like 8, 7 maybe, about that age. And I went up to the toaster and I saw a little extruding bit. And I thought, I'm gonna fucking play with that, and I'm gonna see what happens. Because when you're that young, everything's an adventure, and there's so much shit that you don't know. And then I fucking open it up a bit, and there's just fucking a million crumbs in there, and I'm like, fucking jackpot! Think of the power I wield with this.
You immediately decided to weaponize the crumbs.
Well, yeah, like, I love my sister to pieces now, but when we were growing up, she was fucking horrible to me, and for good reason. I can only imagine I was a little shitbag. So we were constantly just at war, and yeah, I got the tray and I went over to her bed and I just fucking went, I'm gonna dump these crumbs in there, and I did, and fucking just under the quilt, everywhere, all over everywhere, none on the pillow, and then I put the quilt back over, as if nothing had happened.
Wow.
And would you believe it? I got caught. Somehow they figured out I did it.
That's. It's sort of like a very brotherly thing to do.
Yeah, just to put things into perspective, at the time it was my parents, me, and my sister in the house. I didn't have a lot of siblings. It was just, it was either
who put crumbs in the bed.
Exactly. It was either she did it through her own bed, which is admittedly unlikely, or my parents did it, which is only slightly more likely. But no, yeah, that's fucking. That's my experience with crummy bread, mate.
Crummy
My
bread,
experience with
crummy
crummy bread, however, we're going to need a lot more Patreon donations before I talk about that one.
Yeah.
We
Do donate to our pit. We don't.
Yeah, we don't have one of those. We're way too morally great for that. Just cut to when we actually have an audience. Please donate to our
Yeah,
Patreon.
and then we're going to be raking it in. We're going to be like Philip DeFranco levels of Patreon. We're going to hide the amount we get.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. That is one thing we'll never do. We'll like if we ever. It's very unlikely we will, but if ever we do accept donations, whatever, we'll be extremely transparent about that, and it would only be used for better recording equipment because God knows we fucking need it. I really want an XLR because part of the reason I'm losing my voice because I've started singing, and I want to be able to like sing. That would be nice. And
A little bit of a sing song.
an XLR mic would be great for that. It'd be great for the podcast. I want an XLR mic.
You can't have one, mate.
I know. It's shit.
They're very expensive, and you need like a whole board to operate it properly.
Yeah, I know. You need like that digital converter thing to run it through and all that shit.
One day though, you know.
But yeah, so that's the sort of thing we'd buy. I can't imagine we need much else. Maybe if we had like websites or shit, we need hosting fees and stuff. But we'll have real jobs, unlike most YouTubers. That's something that won't change. So
Yeah, I'd like to have a real job. Maintaining my current real job. Well, apprenticeship.
doesn't matter what job I end up in, it's not going to be a real one. By modern stand. Yeah, you know the sort of circles I makes in. If I start making money out of what I'm passionate about, no one would ever consider that a real job. And you know what? Rightly so, to be fair, because it's far too fruitful and enjoyable for everyone involved for it to be considered a job. I'm a rent boy. Just for I realised I was being very cryptic then.
He is a rent boy. He's a very good one. I'll give you that.
I haven't had many complaints. I mean, I've had a few complaints. I've had a lot of complaints. But enough about rent boys. What animal do you identify with the most?
Wow, we're done with the sort of intellectual discussion then.
Yeah, I sort of wanted to tone it down. I feel like how long we've been going? Approximately, because you never know with the edit. Approximately an hour and 5 minutes. So we're
long enough for me to get to the bottom of Lauren Jane's Twitter page.
Oh
So,
yeah, I'll save that one for later.
But what animal do I associate with? Not just an animal that I like, would want to be, but one that I feel represents
yeah,
me.
not one that you like necessarily at all, but there's something that you think you share like character traits with. Because yeah, we're winding down. We're maybe getting towards the end of the podcast here. I just want to lower the tone sufficiently.
I don't really know. I guess you go first because do you have one in mind?
Yeah, Gibbon. Obviously,
What makes you? I knew you were going to say Gibbon.
Well, it's obvious though,
this
isn't it? No, I haven't. I've said I like gibbons.
Why?
Right.
Why do you associate with a gibbon?
They're noble creatures.
Are they?
Yes. Gibbons are very.
Noble?
Don't fuck with me on this, because you know what I'm a very calm individual, but when it comes to gibbons, I just.
You are adamant about gibbons, yeah.
But they're very noble creatures, and I like to think I'm quite noble. They're very patient, pejoratively, but once they go, they fucking go.
Mental.
And you know for a fact that I'm exactly like that.
You've got the disproportionals of arm length of a gibbon as well.
What?
What? You've got really long arms that go down to your ankles, haven't you?
I know, I've got that reach. I've got that Conor McGregor reach.
Every time you get in a fight, no one can get anywhere near you. Even if they try to kick at you, they'll just
I just throw my
you can
fists
punch them from 2 miles away.
just fucking gone. But now, yeah, that's why, because I'm prone to violent outbursts and hurting people. And yeah,
Similar
that's
haircut
what-
as well.
Yeah, Gibbons are, they got a pretty decent fade on them.
Get that fade on.
Got that fade on them. But yeah, so they're noble, pejoratively patient, and prone to extraordinarily violent outbursts where they hurt people. Which I think pretty much sums me up to a T. So what about you?
I have no idea really. I don't really. Jeez.
That and they're stacked. Gibbons have got filled sleeves. And I fuck with that. Got
I have no idea what animal I'd be.
Got a lot of respect for gibbons. Let me think what animal you'd be. Let's see if I can help you out here.
It's pretty easy for what are my main character traits? pretty lazy. You know, I'm pretty easygoing at the same time. I'm pretty...
A tapir. Definitely a tapir. Massive
They
cock.
They have a huge... Yeah, I was about to say, they have the largest penis to body sort of ratio, don't they?
Yeah.
For a mammal?
Yeah, they do. That is correct.
Big schlong and tapir dick.
So that suits you down to the ground already. We both know that to be the truth. So I am thinking, because they're also very docile creatures. I think you are quite docile, quite chilled out.
I'm pretty chilled out. Yeah.
And they're also really, really shit at making videos. When's the last time you saw a tapir make a video?
Very true.
I
true.
would almost go so far as to say as never.
They've never.
And that is why you are exactly like a fucking tapir, Ewan.
Yeah.
Because you never ever make videos.
I can't got a lot of time, mate.
I reckon you got a fair bit of time on your hands.
Got a little bit.
Yeah, enough. I reckon you got enough for a video a month. But you don't. You do a video every 6. But they are good. I can't fault you. They are good.
But yeah, so a tapir and a gibbon.
That's what you got.
What a pairing.
I realised that Redacted probably wasn't the best name for this podcast. I thought of a better one.
What do you think of?
The Cuckcast.
The Cuckcast.
Yeah, it seems a bit more befitting, and also Redacted has been taken by some really boring people.
That's it.
Yeah, there's a podcast that has like 10,000 subscribers called the Redacted Podcast, and they've been...
They got 10k.
Yeah, but they are really dull, because I wanted to listen to them just to see like what sort of shit they talk about, and yeah, I got for...
What do they talk about most?
I got for like 20 minutes of it, and it was just normie shit. It was dull. Don't worry about it. I don't want to talk about it. But yeah. Have you got anything else you want to broach before we wrap up?
No, I think I'm all out. It's pretty lengthy. Time's flown by as per usual.
Yeah, no, it does that when you're talking about gibbons.
And tapir dick. But yeah, we've reached like an hour, 10 minutes probably at this point. So I'd say better time than any. To nicely wrap up.
Alright, well, thank you very much for listening to this installment of the Redacted Podcast. I've been Jason. You can find the links to my shit in the description, so treat yourself to some of that.
A bit of a shameless plug at the end there, mate.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the best place for it, isn't it? I usually do them midway through, but I think the end's probably a bit more befitting.
Yeah.
I got
probably turned off by now.
They probably have. I bet they're not listening. I bet no one's fucking listening to this. If you're listening to this bit, type in what should they type into the comment section?
They should type in I'm gay, ha ha ha, something like that. Something really like sort of funny and memey.
Nah, because we have a lot of people typing that in all the time. Because I don't know why they do that.
We just attract the wrong crowds, mate.
Type in agriculture. Type in the word agriculture. That's a pretty good one. I was gonna do that one by mistake. Anyways, Ewan, you got anything you want to say?
Nope.
Good.